Greetings again there with you. So, a whole heap of people talk about the enslavement of Europeans. Sorry, the enslavement of Africans by Europeans. A whole heap of people understand, at least not understand, but hear something that relate to how the British come here and the Spaniards come in the Caribbean here and take away. Them take away from Africa and bring around here for them sugar cane and them cotton. But there is a part of slavery that is hardly spoken of. And it don't have nothing to do with white people. It has something to do with the Arabs. The Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade lasts longer than the white people slave trade. And we hardly hear about that, and maybe it's because a whole heap of black people see themselves as Muslim. Why them talk less of it. Now we know that the Portuguese was in Africa. And the Portuguese in Africa is a really serious problem because even Christopher Columbus, I hope people don't know this, but Christopher Columbus was one of the sailors them on the Portuguese ship who got into Africa. And there is a pathway to Europe that no one spoke of or speak of when them talk about enslavement of black people. And that is the trek across the Sahara Desert into Europe, into what you call Southern Europe. Them used to take our ancestors, chain them up and carry them across the desert and carry them into France and all the other places. So it's not every African who was enslaved did come to this part of the world. No, sir. A whole heap away did go across the Sahara Desert. But even within that, before the Europeans go there, the Arabs them take hold of it because they must spread in them Islamic religion. And most of North Africa get caught in that Islamic religion. To the point where you have Africans now give up them Africanness and most they talk about Islam. As a matter of fact, a whole heap of these Africans call anybody who was like Muslims infidels. Can you believe that? Infidels. That means if he's not Muslim, whether you're black or whatsoever, you're supposed to dead. Yes, that is really the cry of Muslims, of Islam across Northern Africa. And we see right now the Arabs take over the whole of Northern Africa. And a whole heap of people believe, say, when we talk about Egypt and them to the people, them can't picture that. It's not so the original Kemetic people them they look. Because the majority of Arabs don't live in Arabia. The majority of Arabs live in Egypt. And they colonize Northern Africa, go right into Mali. Right into Mali. And them leave them devastation there. And you have some black people who rise up called the Moors. And the Moors go into a place named Granada, inside of Spain, and was giving them high culture. Yet our Europeans them. If you go to a place named Bordeaux, I don't know if I pronounce it right, Bordeaux, in France. Most of the street them and the building them was built by African people. The mosaic and all these things was built by African people who them call Moors, the black ones. Yet still, the Moors never see themselves as African. They see themselves as Muslims. And when them reach across to the west of Africa, they never feel no way to take the so-called African people who was not Muslims and give to the white people them. Because even today, if you go into Jamaica, in a Moor town, a lot of Arab language is in, even the greeting Salam Alaikum. Salam Alaikum is found amongst the Muslims, the Maroons them in a Moor town. And you wonder how the Maroons them get that, because the Arabic culture was deep into West Africa. Deep, when I say deep, I mean deep. I remember I said them did there long before the Europeans got there. So they was part of the enslavement of African people long before the Europeans got there. But we hardly hear anybody talk of that aspect of it. Because as I say, maybe it's because a whole heap of black people find themselves giving credence to Islam. But Islam, Christianity, all of them is no friend of Africa. No friend of Africa. None of them have Africa in them consciousness as people who has contributed a lot to the world civilization. Them see we as commodities to be enslaved and worked and cotton field and plantation and any other menial jobs. Up to this day, them still do it. We as African people have to rise up out of that and understand the history. Understand the history. Because meanwhile, them was dealing with the Africans, them in a Spain. Them King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella decided them going to run out all of the African them out of Spain. Because them did not deal with too much things that was un-Catholic. Un-Catholic. And in 1492, them started thinking them the Inquisition. Most of you might have heard of the Inquisition. The same 1492, Christopher Columbus make him voyage to this part of the world. But the Inquisition started because a whole heap of people need to be destroyed because them wasn't with the papacy or the Pope of Rome. And that is why the Inquisition started. And most of them was Muslims and people what they call Christians who never give credence to Rome. It's a serious thing. We need to go back into the history and study the Arab influence on Africa and how the Arab them enslave African people. For 1,000 years, them do that. 1,000 years. Give thanks.
Yeah, this is Muta Baroka. I want to introduce you to a different style of programming on the media. We call it RAS Internet.today. I want you to log on to it because you'll be pleasantly surprised. RAS Internet.today provide you with all different perspectives, knowledge, psychology, philosophy, history, social things, religion things. So we want you to tune into it. RAS, R-A-S-S-S, Internet.today. Irie.
Well, let me hear you say mountain, mountain, mountain. No, oh, no.
Let's go now to one of our top stories tonight. Tonight we put the spotlight on revelations and horror stories of Kenyans who've just returned from Saudi Arabia, where they had been lured with offers of well-paying domestic jobs. Saudi Arabia has historically been seen as a haven for job seekers, but domestic abuse is not considered illegal in the Arab country, and strict guardianship laws restrict the movement of women. This could explain why some 50 women recently returned to Kenya bearing scars, horror stories, and not a penny to their name. KTN's Edith Kimani has the details.
In June of 2012, the Kenyan government banned Kenyans from going to the Middle East as domestic workers. A year later, 800 Kenyans were rescued from Saudi jails. By November of 2013, the government had lifted the ban, and Kenyans, desperate for work, jumped at the opportunity to find work elsewhere. Some, like Naomi, came back to be buried. Others, considered the fortunate ones, came back alive. But their stories paint a picture of anything but fortune.
Kutoka waliwagila nikapelekwa place ingine kwa ofisi. Sasa tukafungiwa, nikakuta Wakenya wamejaa huko kwa ofisi. Kulikuwa na over 30 Kenyans huko wamefungiwa, wamekaa some months huko. Sasa nilikuwa na simu, nikapigia agent kumuuliza kwani nilikuwa mimi naenda wapi. Akasema kaa nimefika place yenye nimefika.
Kwa wale wa baba wa pale Saudia ni watu sijui vile wameumbwa. Ni yule baba anakuja ako na gun na anakuambia ni lazima ulale na yeye. Kwa hivyo akiwekelea hapa itakubidi juu uko kwa nchi ya wenyewe, unaona. Na pale ukishikana mama akijua ile ati umeenda umelala na yule bwana yake, wewe ndio unarudishia makosa.
Yenye walinipeleka kwa nyumba mimi kufanya kazi huko, ndio nikuta nguo za msichana fulani sijui alikuwa mgani zimejaa damu hivi. Nikapigia agent wangu nikamwambia sasa mnipeleka hata please, mi watu ni kama wamekufa juu damu imejaa kwa nyumba hivi, na nimekuta credit ya Safaricom kuonyesha kulikuwa na mtu wa Kenya huko. Hiyo wiki ya 3 venye nimekaa huko wiki ya 3 ndio nienda akanipatia kazi huko kwa kuku, nifagie huko kwa kuku, ndio nikaona kulikuwa na watu wamezikwa huko ndani, watu 2.
Ni vile nilienda hiyo nyumba nilishikwa na mashida ya njaa. Huyu mtu ananifanyisha kazi hakuna chakula. Sasa vile niliwaambia mimi nasikia njaa, wanakula wanakubakishia hiyo chakula. Hiyo ndio wanataka ukule. Mimi nawaambia mimi kwetu hii chakula tunapeaga umbwa na kuku. Sisi hatukulagi chakula yenye imekurua mtu anakubakishia.
Tunaomba serikali iingilie kati ndio wasichana wetu watolewe pale, turudishiwe hapa. Na wao wanafuata kama ni watu 1000 wametoka Kenya. Wakienda wao wanafuatilia hao watu wamemaliza contract, wameenda wangapi, wamerudi wangapi. Juu hapo hii harakati ya hii kuenda na kurudi, serikali haifuati na ndio watu wetu wanauawa. Ni watu wengi wetu wa Kenya wameuawa pale.
The Kenyan government is reported to have inspected over 300 labor recruitment agencies last year. But the all too common stories from the Middle East extend well beyond Saudi Arabia. KTN has on numerous occasions showed the deplorable conditions Kenyans are willing to live in while in the Middle East in search of the elusive shilling. For a few, the dream pays off. Not for these women, however, and certainly not for Naomi. Edith Kimani, KTN.
Harrowing experiences from those 50 girls who've come back from Saudi Arabia. And the question that people keep asking, people keep on asking is, how is it that so many people keep on getting into the same situations over and over and over again, and yet this is not a fast situation? Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has actually given a response, and Karanja Kibicho, who is the PS in that ministry, says that is what they will all say when they get into trouble. Our efforts to get them to register with us before they go get no response. This is after some of these women said that the government and the Kenyan embassy in Saudi Arabia is not doing anything to help Kenyans who are in those countries or the Middle Eastern countries. And the government says basically that is the response that you will always get. They have tried to get these people to register when they go to those countries, but they get no response with that. And the Foreign Affairs Ministry also says that the embassies are always at hand to help whenever Kenyans show up. This is a matter that requires cooperation from all Kenyans going to work in foreign countries. Just register with our missions. The ministry is very clear on this. Just register with our missions. And I was talking to a lady who is in Dubai today, and she said that most Kenyans who are in those countries don't even know where the Kenyan consulate is in the countries that they are going to register with. And Nancy, this is a big problem, because if you do not know where you need to get your help from, who is going to help you? Who is going to help you? So, and she says, she also said something very important. Kenyans are using agencies to go to these countries. She said that is a bad idea, because these agencies are going to charge you an arm and a leg, and you will still not get the services that you require to get when you're in those countries. And it is a strange place to be in.
Right, so clearly a very huge problem, but we want to ask you this evening on our big Q, which is coming up shortly, whether you think that the Kenyan job seekers are actually to blame for the suffering that they go through in Saudi Arabia.
The Big Q, in association with Kenya Power.
All right, so that brings us to a big question, and as Nancy said, we're asking, are Kenyan job seekers to blame for the suffering they go through in Saudi Arabia? We have seen these cases over and over again. This is not the first time that we're seeing this. So are Kenyan job seekers to blame for the suffering that they go through in Saudi Arabia?
You can give us your thoughts by tweeting us at Kachingira, at Wilson_Mburu, and at KTN Kenya. You can also send an SMS to 22155. When you do that, do remember to begin with a yes or no, so that we can add your opinion to our poll results, which we'll have for you at the end of the bulletin tonight.
Remember that we are using
Switch, wasiliana na marketing officer wa Kenya Power katika ofisi yoyote ya Kenya Power iliyo karibu nawe, upate maelezo jinsi unavyoweza kupata stima kwa urahisi.
Welcome to the African Leadership Series, where we bring you great inspirational speeches from African leaders. On behalf of the Arabs, I'd like to condemn, apologize, and express my deep sorrow for the conduct of some Arabs, especially the wealthy among them, towards their African brothers. The wealthy Arabs treated their African brothers in a disgraceful way in the past. They brought children and took them to North Africa, to the Arabian Peninsula, and to the other Arab regions. They subjugated them and traded in them. In the most brutal fashion, to tell you the truth, they engaged in slavery and in human trafficking. In the most brutal fashion, to tell you the truth. We are ashamed, along with the African brothers, when we recall this. We are ashamed of those who behaved in this manner, and especially the wealthy Arabs, who viewed the African brothers as inferior slaves. This is no different from the way the West, America, and Europe behave towards the Africans. They would hunt them like animals, treat them like slaves, and act like colonialists. They engaged in colonialism and exploited them, and this continues to this day. We extend our apology and express our sorrows for these acts. If you like informative and educational videos on Africa, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch all our latest videos.